Welcome back to Birds with Words. I'm your host, Sean Fitzgerald, the author of the Alone Together series. All right, Chris, I know my audience now knows you from our previous Aliens episode. Why don't you give a quick rundown again, who you are, where we can find your stuff, and then let's get into 28 weeks later.
All right. Christopher Michael. You can find my stuff on Amazon. I write the Danforth Eldritch Tales of World War II series and U.S. Army veteran and current federal agent. So that pretty much sums that one.
Awesome. So I know like we're all gung ho to get into doing, the clips, but I got to share this because like when I was looking at this, it just blew me away. So I'm going to share a still image of the primary character. I think it's Sergeant Doyle. It's been a minute since I've watched the entire movie, like full length. So I think his name's Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold it against me. The guy who plays in the Avengers. And take a look at his kit and like the way everything's set up.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Renner when he's in there. Okay.
We got to take a look at this dude's just the way his rifle's set up, his kit's set up. I get that this was set up to be like the what do we want to call it? The early 2000s.
Yeah. Isn't he supposed to be a CAG dude, like a Delta guy in this too?
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense if
like who. There's going to be so many things I'm going to have to point out about this one and stuff like that. I mean, like it's such a cool movie, but also like military-wise, so many like crazy inconsistencies and everything like that like just make absolutely no sense.
Yeah. So sorry if like the weird imaging is cropped down. The fuck is this kit?
Oh boy, that is a lot of. Yeah, it's kind of cropped down, so it's a little bit hard to see. But okay, so I see he's got God knows how many magazine pouches on that vest. I mean, I don't know. It's like it's too clean.
Yeah.
There's that. There's always going to be that thing where it's like you watch it and you're like, okay, it's too clean, but also just I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like this was kind of the early 2000s, and I do remember some guys like from like Iraq and stuff like that, where they just had like all this like crazy shit, like because we like. I remember like in those like early 2000s time, we didn't have the things like the battle belts and things that we were kind of used to using. Yeah. It was like you just packed everything onto like the kit or like the IOTV and stuff like that. So it was like everything that you needed was on there. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to see it kind of in the clips and see how it shakes out.
I find it interesting. Like he has two different like you can have stacked optics. Like there are configurations that have that, but his night vision optic is so far back from the dot.
You usually want is it? Oh yeah, I forgot that it is a night vision optic on the back. It's not just a magnification thing and stuff.
It's literally just PVS 14s. Like it looks like an optic. If you don't know what you're looking at, I can see it a little bit better on my end. He just has the rifle mount for the PVS 14, which is also a questionable thing for.
And that was one of those ones I remember in the early parts of like the GWAT. They had those things and stuff, and guys thought that it seemed like it was like the coolest thing. Like, yeah, I can mount my night vision behind my optic, and then coming to realize you're like that it's a terrible idea because then you have like a lighted optic and then nothing else lit. So then when you take it away from your face, now you're blind in that eye and you're in the dark. So it was definitely not a good idea.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it sounds really good on paper, but like the second guys started practicing it, they're like, oh, this is a crap idea.
Yeah.
The other thing was like he has a drop leg holster, which is that was very common.
That was common, yeah.
Yeah, but he's wearing it so low that like if you needed to draw your pistol, he had to reach down to like pull it back up. I'm sliding out of the camera view while I'm like reenacting it on mine, which is also kind of unusual. And the one time,
I noticed it's like he doesn't have any sort of like I mean, he's supposed to be like a Delta guy. He's got an M4 with a EOTech on it. I think the Hollywood thing that really perverted that PVS 14 behind the optic thing was Tears of the Sun.
Yeah,
because that was the first time I remember seeing stuff like that, and it was like they had all their optics mounted like behind their their red dots and stuff like that, but he has no like pack or anything like that on there. Like at this time, I mean, like Delta were still rolling out with like some of like I mean, even just like the tier 2 special ops guys like SF and stuff like that were rolling out with some pretty advanced like stuff. So it's kind of it's definitely like a weird Hollywoodized thing going on.
Yeah, and for anybody who's not military that's listening to this, generally, what happens is the top tier guys, like your Delta guys, your Special Forces guys, they're going to start shifting the way new tech is used. So, like drop leg holsters, before it hit the mainstream forces, they were using them, and they quickly learned, like, hey, you need to wear them higher up because you want it to be right where your hand is when you draw, things of that nature. The way gear is set up. So, they went from IOTVs before main forces got them. And then they're like, hey, IOTVs kind of suck. And it went down. So like they shifted out of IOTVs. And then, the main forces were getting, your general guys were getting IOTVs. And that's usually the trend, right? Your top guys get it. And then we learn the lessons. Same thing with the, putting the night vision on your rifle. You can do it. There's certain situations it makes sense. But what drives me nuts, and we'll see it in the clips, is he'll have his night vision and his red dot, but it'll be a crosshair when he's looking at it.
Yeah, which is not.
It's okay. Let's go ahead and look at the first.
Let's just go.
New arrivals are reminded, for their own safety, it is absolutely forbidden to cross the river and leave the security zone. You will be joining 15,000 civilians who are already resident in District 1. As we approach your new home, you will notice a dramatically increased military presence. The U.S. Army is responsible for your safety. We will do everything we can do to make your repatriation as easy as possible. Inside District 1, however, we believe you'll be pleasantly surprised. We have hot and cold running water 24 hours.
So just easy introduction to like the militarization. The first, I don't want to say the first thing. I'll let you have the first one, and then I'll tell you what I didn't like in that.
Well, I mean, it wasn't too bad. Just having the lady up there to do some sort of thing that could have been like an automated thing or like a freaking, if anything like that, when they have like those menial tasks, sometimes they like hire like a contractor or something like that to be doing it. I don't know. That just, and then, let's see, and then it's like they went into the area, they had like the 50 cal and the thing set up, but it's like the train didn't stop there, so like that seemed a little trivial. Like it's like, okay, like why do they have that set up there? Like if the train starts getting like taken over by infected, or are they just there so it's like if it's driving by they can just light it up as they're driving by? Like usually the whole point of having stuff like that mounted at a certain location is that vehicle traffic or whatever it is has to stop before it to give you that space or whatever it is, so that if something did go wrong, then you have those like support by fire positions set up there to start going. But in that situation, it's like they're just sort of there and the train just kind of like rolls by. It's like, okay, that's not very good security if it's like there's no sort of check, no sort of checkpoint, no sort of obstacles set up, and you just have the 50 cal and some sandbags there. I mean, maybe there's something it's like not seeing, but that seemed like it was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it seems like somebody took an entry control point that they might have seen in like the early days of Iraq and said, yeah, let's put this at the train station. But it doesn't make sense. Like one, okay, you have infected on the train, right? Because you have to think about the enemy that they're facing. They're not facing the insurgents. Just turn the train off.
Yeah.
Like it's a control station. Like you can just stop. You can keep the doors shut the whole time.
Yeah, it's like it can contain it like right there and then. And still, like I said, it's like it doesn't make any sense like to have it there if the train is just going to keep going. It's supposed to stop there, and this like all the things are supposed to stop, and then you have your security points where you like people are like the different layers of security and stuff that they have to go through to make entry. But just having it sort of sitting there didn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, if it was one of those, in the U.S. we have these. I imagine they have them in the U.K. But you can have like railroads that like sideline a road. It would make sense there because you're not really controlling the rails, right? You're controlling the main avenue of approach for a vehicle, and the 50 cal is the preferred weapon to stop a vehicle. But it doesn't make sense to like, even if they were infected in the train, right? Like we said, just
it's an electric rail to shut it off.
Yeah, it's done, and you don't have to open the doors. Something that I found interesting was, I know it's supposed to be early to mid 2000s. This is set in. They have deuce and a halves. Like, I never saw a deuce and a half my entire time, aside from like Army surplus trucks. I don't know if you saw them.
Only time I saw a deuce and a half was when I was in basic training back in like the 05 time frame or something like that. And they were like these big, nice ones and stuff like that, but they were more used for like transportation thing, stuff like that. But I never actually saw like a fielded deuce and a half. They were already starting to move toward the what are some of the ones like the LMTVs and things like that. So yeah, I don't usually see like I didn't really see the deuce and a halves around. Maybe the National Guard unit or something, but.
Yeah, I mean, so I thought it was interesting that they lined it up with Humvees, and then you have a whole line of deuce and a halves. And as far as I know, the UK didn't use American deuce and a half. They might have somebody out there who's former Royal Army or something of that nature can correct me, but I think they had their own version that was more domestically produced, and they weren't deuce and a half. So very odd that was the vehicle that they decided to throw in there. I think that's kind of the weird Americanization. And then the way they had that landing zone, it wasn't terrible, but it also didn't seem like the appropriate one to land a Chinook into.
I feel like the whole thing that they were trying to do with the train was it was almost like sort of like they're setting up like Jurassic Park for like the infected, where it's like it's just the people who are on approach, and all of this stuff is almost like set up not for practicality, but purely for the benefit of all these people looking out the window to be like, ooh, or something like that. It's not actually
100%. I hate to say this, but you can definitely tell that Chinook was CGI generated because it came in, aside from it just kind of looking wonky, but like the tents didn't move at all. And a Chinook throws air all around that.
Dude, it's like your shit is blowing away when those things come in. It's like they got some power, man. Those things are hefty.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think these are in order. If the clips aren't in order, that's fine. We'll just talk about them as is. So let me get the next one up. So this one's less military related, just for your awareness, as opposed to kind of just why it doesn't make sense in the military aspect. So still talking about the military, but it's not heavily focused on the military in this particular scene.
Yeah. I gotta love you too.
great scene, but it doesn't make sense to me. So I told you it wasn't a super military.
Yeah.
They build us up, and I thought I had it saved. And watch, I'm going to make a fool of myself, and it'll be the next video clip I show. But they introduce the security of everything once they get off the train. And one of the things is he has the key card, right? And he says that because what he does, he's some type of managerial position, either sanitation or something of that nature. He has access to the entire facility, which both military and on the private side that I work in, this makes no sense. Nobody has 100% access to every location.
Yeah, that's why it's compartmentalized and stuff.
Yeah, access control is very broken down. And I think it's even funnier because in that scene, he pans through the door and there's a badge reader inside the door, which means that he's not getting out now that he's infected. So that
it didn't, and then it's like, and there's no evidence, I guess, that the infected have the ability to open doors and stuff. They're still kind of like, even though it's like they're not necessarily zombies in the conventional sense, it's like they're not showing any kind of signs of like super high level intelligence. They're just sort of bashing themselves up against everything. And then the other thing is like, even with that, it's like you have somebody who that they just found out there in like the wasteland, so to speak, that's like a survivor that could have some kind of infection. Is like, and they're supposed to be quarantined right now, and you're telling me there's nobody around at all. There's like nobody doing monitoring her, nobody watching her. Like everybody's just walking around somewhere with their thumb up their ass, and there's nobody watching whatsoever, and they let the janitor walk in there.
Yeah, there's nobody watching. He didn't have to pass by it. Okay, I take this back. In the next scene, he attacks the soldier that's like outside guarding it, which leads to several other questions. One, why is there one dude watching a post by himself? Which we always did buddies at a minimum. The second portion of it is, so that soldier watched him go in there, knew that he didn't have a reason to go in there.
Yeah. And
then he didn't hear any of the screaming, bashing, any of that happening. The entire outbreak should end right there.
Yeah. And it's like, that it's like from a smart person perspective, it's like if they went in there, you hear bashing and stuff like that, you can see there's a window there. And like, don't do the dumb thing where you just walk in like, hey, what's going on in here or something like that. It's like, look through the window and see what is happening in there and see that you have some guy who's now infected and he's like bashing around and killed somebody and stuff like that. It's like, and then keep the door locked. It's like, don't go in there. Like, don't be an idiot. But yeah, apparently, I guess he just opened the door like, hey, are you guys all right in here? And then got attacked.
All right, this next one, jumping in. So the outbreak has happened. This is like probably the most memorable scene, in my opinion, to the movie. It's the part that I feel like everybody likes to talk about. So let's jump into this one.
Whiskey 3, why have you stopped firing? Come in, Whiskey 3.
Abandon selected target. Shoot everything. Target's not free. We've lost control.
All units, this is Medical Commanding Officer Sierra Lima. Please be on the lookout for a young boy, age 12, name Andy. If he is located, he must be immediately evacuated from the containment zone. We have to find Andy. We have to find him! It's okay. We're gonna find him. I'm gonna find him. I promise. I'm gonna get him out of here. I'm gonna get you both out of here. Trust me.
That's an unlawful order, Lieutenant Colonel.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's a hard one too. It's like, because that even the slightest like pinprick on this one can turn somebody into something. It's like, dang man, that's kind of, I mean, like, I'm trying to like put it is an unlawful order in the normal sense, but then I'm trying to like tell myself too, I'm like, damn, this is also like not a normal situation. Like, oh Lord, it would be, it's like one that's like he said, it's like they lost control. Like I remember leading up to this, it was like they just took everybody and locked them all in one giant room with no security on every door, which there should have been. And then infected breaks through the door that they don't have security on and starts turning everybody into zombies. I think it was like I think wasn't it like just by pure force the people ended up breaking through the locks, which I don't know how that happened. Maybe just, but okay, so now you got civilians spilling out with infected mixed in. It's kind of like, holy shit, like I don't think this is going to end well.
Yeah.
But also it's like from a standpoint, it's like just saying like shoot everybody, even if you know if somebody that you know is not a infected. That one I feel like it's like that's going to be a little bit hard. You shouldn't be this, if you can see that they're not somebody who's infected and stuff, you can't just shoot them like that, like on the spot.
Yeah, and forgive me, I'm limited by what free clips I could get to do this since I didn't strip it off a CD. And you're right, they put them all in the one spot, which is insane given that everybody has their own area to live, like their own living quarters.
Yeah, it should have been shut down in living quarters, right?
Yeah, it should have been like, hey, we're locked down. You're not allowed to leave your room, and you post 2 soldiers in every hallway. And if somebody leaves, that's when you have an issue. Why you gather everybody into one spot with a disease that does exactly what we know this disease does. It's not like they don't know what the disease does, right?
Yeah, it's like this. I mean, they knew what was going on, like in the first movie, like that it was like anything that like touches like blood to blood, like any sort of transfer turns you into the infected.
And then he just immediately escalates to just shooting everybody out. And the next scene's going to get into it because like that's when they just get the free fire order and the way that they're shooting more so. And then you got the guy with the saw, and he's just like backing up and spraying. I'm like, what are you
like?
doing?
Don't you have a position? You like you be doing that instead of like freaking freehanding it while you're walking.
And I don't really understand their fire like their sectors of fire because you only get like the clips of like where certain people. The only people they really focus on now in the next scene are the snipers, but they have a 50 cal mounted on some type of truck. Which I'm not going to talk about, like the way that guy's gear looks, because it's obviously like a plastic helmet he's wearing. But I'm not going to talk about that. Like the 50 is a devastating weapon, and if he was mounted where it appears he's mounted, nobody's running down that corridor towards that vehicle. Like because what 50 cal gunners are taught is they work in a 3-round burst from the left, and then they go to the right. And what that does is those rounds don't have to necessarily hit you to kill you because it's so much velocity coming towards you that sometimes just getting close enough to people can cause damage.
So we actually did like tests on that one and stuff like that. So I remember there was that old rumor in the military where if it went by your head, it could scramble your brain. I'm sure that one probably, oh God, that drove me nuts for a long time. But what they did prove, and I even saw some cool ballistic tests on this, is like if it even clips you, a piece is coming off. It's like, and it's almost like it was a crazy thing. I can't remember where I was actually watching the ballistic test. It was cool because it was like, they're like, okay, hey, can we like pierce an ear with a 5.56? And they like shot and pierced an ear with a 5.56, and it didn't take any piece off. It was almost like straight through. It was like, wow, that was pretty impressive. Okay, now let's try and do that with a 50. And like in a high, like slow motion camera, that thing went, hit the ear, and then the whole side of like that ballistic head just exploded all over the place. So it was like if that thing even like clips a little bit of you, chunks are coming off everywhere. And I mean, it's like, and we've seen that like country like in Afghanistan where it's like if that thing hits, like especially arms, legs, things like that, stuff's coming off.
And that's like, not stopping. Like just because it hit one person, like you might stop
going through
5.56 with one person. A 50, it's not. It's cutting people in half all the way down that avenue. And that guy, like,
and that's the other thing too, is it's like if you were firing in those sectors and stuff like that, if you have people that are not infected and you start firing at them, they're naturally going to try to run into buildings, are going to try to seek cover. That's probably going to actually be of your benefit because then if like people are infected, the infected are going to keep running like wherever the gunfire is, because like from what we've seen with the infected, it's like anything that sort of draws their attention, it's like they lock onto it and they go. So it's like if there's gunfire, they're going to be running straight into the gunfire, whereas the uninfected civilians are probably going to be like trying to duck into whatever, like places there are and get to cover so they don't get shot.
Yeah. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the medic. I don't know if she's a medic.
Oh,
the
God,
med
yeah.
officer talking on the net. And
Get off the radio.
yeah, that's all I was thinking of.
The first thing that she said, she was like, "This is med officer. Get your ass off the radio right now, or get to the med link. Do not be on the radio right now while people are talking and there's an active engagement."
So you should have multiple channels set up, right? And they never established that. So I'm going to assume everybody's talking on one net, which is the way that they portray it.
Yeah.
She puts that out there, like, if there is an active engagement going on, I don't care. Like, you have a kid, and you're going to have to wait for the fight not to be happening. But
and is this really like the time to be like trying to do that? It's like you're literally trying to contain the infection that is now spreading like wildfire throughout that entire sector, and you're worried about them finding one kid to like try to get out of the area. It's like at this point, it's like they've engaged this dude's orders and they are killing everybody that is literally running around with 2 feet. It's like, so nobody's going to be looking for this kid to be like, oh, hey, the med officer said to say it's like oh yeah, and then they're like, he's 12 years old and his name's Andy, and it's like, I don't know, I'm not going to be asking his name from 100 yards away, like hey, are you Andy?
No,
kid, are you Andy?
Oh yeah, and I've heard people get cussed off the radio before for interrupting transmission. But it's even funnier. Like, I didn't hear anybody respond to her. She just like put that out there. It was like,
okay, yeah, we're kind of busy right now, lady.
Okay. So this scene, I think it picks up right where the other one left off.
Abandon selected target. All targets are now free.
For more?
Rooftop units, target everyone at ground level. No exceptions. Repeat, no exceptions.
I'll let you start this one.
Oh boy, there's a lot to that one. First off, it was like you'd think that if they had the crew serve weapons, they would have been up in those positions, not just the snipers and stuff like that. Like that's where you would want to have like your 240s and stuff like that if like you had that type of situation going on. But yeah, it was still kind of like one of those things where he's like he realizes he's getting an order that's probably not lawful, and then he proceeds to fight through it anyway, and then start targeting people that are very, very obviously not like the infected along with the infected. Yeah, there was a lot going on there, but it's just sort of like at that point it seems like it's just sort of, I don't know, it's absolute pandemonium. The entire area is compromised. I would feel like it was almost one of those things where it's like, instead of like just shooting everybody to move, what they should have had is some sort of a containment zone where it's like they just pull all troops out and lock down that containment zone, and it doesn't, and so that way it's like no infected could get out. But instead they're like, okay, yeah, just shoot everybody, but it's like nobody's got sectors of fire. There's like motherfuckers are just running around in circles like all over with like no, like every single direction, like, oh, I'm gonna run this way, oh, I'm gonna run this way, or oh, I'm gonna run this way. It's like, okay, yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense there, Chief.
Yeah, I didn't like that. So we talked about this earlier, that these guys, I don't know if he's necessarily Delta Force, I can't remember, but he's some type of not regular army. Regardless, he's still a sniper.
I remember them saying in the movie, they say he's Delta.
Okay, it's been a minute since I've sat through the movie, so I'll take your word that he's Delta. Regardless, even if he's a standard regular army sniper, right? Mm-hmm. Not one of them is using a support. They're just kind of like free floating. You can make that shot. It's probably not that difficult. But then they show the high rise, and they're not like just 2 or 3 stories up. They're on like miniature skyscrapers, I guess. And these are running targets, and they're free floating their shots. Yeah, there's people out there, but it's a lot easier, especially when you have that rail right there, to just lean on the rail and squeeze your rounds off.
Well, yeah, because it's like, even if it looks like there's a lot of people running around down there, people forget it's like a bullet is small. It's like bullets are small. They are not like big things. They will not. It's like, you're trying to say like you're throwing like an acorn and hoping it'll hit a person or something like that. It's like you can't just be like free floating the shot, but somehow it's like all their shots seem to make a hit. So.
And I guess they're just kind of relying on you thinking like they're snipers and they're well trained, but it's just, it doesn't line up to what we know in reality. I'm not going to say that
they wouldn't be using Delta guys up there.
Yeah, either. Like a waste of their experience, but what do I know? I say, what do I know? And then we're having this show, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say that the crosshairs don't exist, because like I have a civilian optic that has crosshairs like that.
Yeah.
But I've never seen military crosshairs that didn't have lines to make windage on them.
It's usually like the mil scopes.
Yeah, I feel like that's very odd that they use that as like the Hollywood sniper view.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they should have done justice and actually used a military type optic.
It's not like they're hard to find or something, or like 5 seconds of research could have at least like been something. All right, we'll superimpose this thing over this.
Look, if Call of Duty can do it, you can do it. Man. And then I think they showed in a different scene, they do have one crew served weapon up there, but the way they spliced those scenes together, it looks like a sniper just randomly went automatic. Because like they show like
I noticed. I was like, oh, maybe I'm hearing a machine gun, but it was like I thought all these guys up there were snipers, because I didn't see anybody other than snipers taking the shots and stuff. And then you're kind of like, okay, now are all these snipers Delta guys, or is a cruiser weapon dude who's like shooting like the belt fed or whatever or not? I don't know. It was kind of hard to tell what was going on because of the chaos.
And I'm not going to say that they should have all had somebody next to them, but it's very rare to see a sniper working completely independently. Mm-hmm. I'm sure somebody's going to come out there like, wow, it's Green Beret. I only, okay, whatever. Generally, you have a shooter and a spotter. And it's really odd that he's up there by himself with 2 weapon systems. Like he has his M14, and then he has his M4 next to him, which I'm not going to nerd out and tell you that the rifle that he starts with is not a military rifle, because I only know this because like the receiver, they show it in one scene and it's the civilian version.
Mm-hmm.
And they do a good job covering it up because they spray paint it up. But the autistic side of me caught that, and I was like, that's wrong.
Well, and I mean, it's like it would make sense to have somebody up there in those positions. One, to have more guns in a high area, but also two, it's like you then see it later on. There's like the freaking other sniper on one of the rooftops is now getting like torn to bits, and his only cover is the guy on the next building and stuff like that. It's like you can't be having a sector of fire in like, outward or wherever your sector is, and then having an opposite sector of fire where you're supposed to be covering someone's back. And now all of a sudden he's trying to like having to basically shoot his own dude and stuff because he like freaking like nobody had a backup.
Yeah, it's a very unusual layout. And are you really telling me that they're all focused right there? Like it looks like a square, right? They even pull back. So you're telling me that you have a 4-way shooting gallery. You only have one guy pretty much on each corner.
Mm-hmm.
Crew served weapons somewhere down the alley that was on the ground. It's a very unusual setup. And
one the other thing I noticed too is like when that 50 cal was roaring and like all those people were running at it and stuff, I was like, if they're all running at it like that 50 cal, unless it's like one of those piece of crap ones that like freaking chunks like after like three like 3 rounds or like boom, 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 crap, and then you gotta rack it again and stuff, like headspace and timing issues. And it's like, and I knew the 82nd guys and stuff like that. It's like, I guarantee some private in the 82nd did not headspace and time that freaking 50 cal. He was this, especially after months of it just sitting there. I guarantee he did not headspace and time that 50 cal while it's been sitting there the whole time. But it's like, if in the event that he did, it's like, it would have ripped that whole crowd to bits. Like I think it probably, that thing alone probably could have stopped almost all of that crowd.
Yeah, again, just working your left to right or do a Z pattern, and
you're
not coming down that alleyway with a weapon system like that. It's funny that you mentioned that about the old 50 cals because I worked on them like when we were doing training, but we never touched them after training. We always had the newer versions that were just like you put it in and it clicks and it fixes the head spacing.
Wow. Yeah, I was so tripped out when I got out of active duty and then I got back in to the National Guard, and so I was like, hey, does somebody have the headspace and timing keys? And they're like, oh, these new 50 cals don't need headspace and timing keys. I was like, huh? And they're like, yeah, and they have a safety on them too. I was like, excuse me, they have a what now? Yeah. It was like all these things is like I got used to where it's like, okay, it doesn't have a safety, so it's like in order to like be on a patrol where you're about to pass out from exhaustion, you like take like one of the rounds and like slip it underneath the butterfly trigger and stuff like that, so you don't accidentally hit your gear on it and have it like AD or something.
Yeah, it's funny that like technology, it becomes like widely available. I think that's just something that people have a bad perception of. It's like they think that something new comes out and that everybody instantly gets it. It takes forever for that stuff to roll out.
Oh yeah, like when I was over in 173rd and stuff, I think it was about like the 15, 16 time frame and stuff like that. We were still using the old Browning 50 cals and stuff. I mean, like one of them had a receiver that was stamped from like World War II or something like that. Like, and it was still in use. Like, it was crazy, like how old some of those ones were, and no headspace, or it was headspace and timing keys, no safety, all that stuff. So, the idea of like having one was unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, my Beretta that was issued to me when I was a captain was date stamped 88.
Oh
and,
yeah.
And when they announced the SIG contract, so they announced the rifle and the pistol almost simultaneously while I was in. Right when I was getting out, and we got the first shipment of pistols in, and we had there was something. It was not the one that made all the controversy. There was a problem with our shipment of pistols, and we had to send them back. I was like, okay, so those are the pistols. What about the rifles? I'm like, oh, the rifles were like a decade away, man. You're not going to see them.
And I don't think they're going to happen either. I remember one of the guys I talked to in 173rd said a company was getting them, and a company at 82nd. Things like that. Like they're giving them like the very select units, and they were already talking about how big of a problem they were, like just with the new rounds, with how heavy they are, with like all these other things, and it's like some genius thought that it was a good idea to get a full infantry company suppressors, and then they were out there like doing like a movement and live fire, and they were noticing that under nods is like that freaking suppressor, like especially on like the belt fed versions, is getting so hot that it's like glowing like a freaking like candle underneath like nods and stuff. It's like it's insane.
Yeah, I have a pretty strong opinion about it as well. Mostly the ammunition limiting. Like,
Yes.
I feel like that is backwards of everything we know about small arms conflict.
Mhm.
I want to bring my audience in on this. Generally accepted in the modern military thinking is the unit that has more ammunition put down and is able to sustain the fight longer, just logistically, is the fight that's going to win.
Yes.
Like,
I mean, obviously you want to have a round that's going to perform at least a little bit, but it's like the there's always this thing that's been going around where they act like the M16 and the M4 and the 5.56 round is somehow some sort of inferior round, and it's like we don't lose any sort of conflict that we're in. It was like when we were in Afghanistan, we won like 0.9% of the engagements at the tactical level, and not once did we say like, oh, you know why we lost that 0.01%? It was because the 5.56 round was inferior. Like, no, it had nothing to do with stuff like that. It's like it's a good killing round, it's an accurate round, it's a hit round, and you can carry lots of it. And that's the big thing, is like I think that the GWAT proved that the thing that matters most is round count and shot placement. It's like accuracy and having lots of rounds. It's like that's why we went from the 45 to the 9mm with a pistol. Is like it's so much better having almost 20 rounds in like a freaking full size combat pistol. And it's like all you need is to put them on the target and have more of it. And it's like if you got another dude who's got a pistol that's got 8 rounds, he's got to reload that sucker, and you've got time to put rounds on target. It's like that's what matters.
Yeah, Ian from Forgotten Weapons has a pretty good breakdown of what he thinks is the disconnect. And when people say that it's a solution for the previous fight, one of the leading articles that led to the adoption of the SIG in the new round was they gave an example that they commonly ran into in situations in Afghanistan where you'd have the guys dug into a hillside or a mountainside. They'd watered down the area, and a Dershka lights up a convoy. And their rifles are ineffective because the 5.56 can't reach out the 1,000 meters that the Dershka is reaching out to. There's a couple problems with that scenario, though. The first is you and I know that if you're lighting up a convoy, I'm not responding with my AR or my M16. No. I'm responding with my 50 cals, right?
Yeah.
My 50 cals and my Mark 19s.
Mark 19s, yeah.
But the second thing is technology has drastically changed now, because the answer to that solution is no longer direct fire. It's we have a vehicle in the back that has a drone, and we go up there and we just blow up that hole and move on.
Or just calling for CAS. It's like it's not too far away. And I mean, if a Dushka can reach you, your 50 cal can reach the Dushka. And then it's just that they always come up with this excuse, but the M16 platform has come a long way since Vietnam. I would dare to say at this point that we have, I mean, I feel like the AR platform, so to speak, has been perfected. I mean, like it's gotten so much advancement and stuff like that. It's like a good fighting rifle is so easy to come by now, and you can do it for like less than $1,000. And so, and it's always accurate. It does its job. So yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that all ended up happening that way, but I feel like we've digressed from this, but it's like, the whole thing with the setup on the roof was messed. I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let me pull this next one.
Get back! Get back! Shit! Yes!
trying, all right? Just keep trying, keep trying. Fuck me. Put your foot in the clutch. All right. Pop the clutch when I tell you, okay? You get them to the stadium. Okay? Keep your head down. I'll meet you there.
I will let you take that one again.
So I think me and you talked offline and actually found out that flamethrowers are actually part of DoD inventory still. Are we not? Or I don't think in that capacity. But okay, let's just maybe, you know, for sake of things, it's like because of this they've contracted and gotten a flamethrower for the U.S. military that looks like that. All right, so first off, if there's a noxious gas that comes through that is that potent that it's going to take those undead out, sitting in the car with your shirt up over your face isn't going to help. I mean, even during COVID, they found out it's like having a gator up over your mouth doesn't stop the virus when you cough, so it ain't going to stop a noxious gas. But so there's that. And then also the way that these dudes are MOP 4 is meant to protect you in a gas attack so that you can get out of said gas attack alive and then make it back to wherever you need to. But MOP 4 was not set up for you to gas attack and then move through the gas attack and conduct ops. You're supposed to, if it's a gas attack, you're supposed to wait for the gas to do its thing and dissipate and then move through the area and sweep and clear and stuff like that. But you don't move in the gas attack. It's like if somebody even gets an itch and like cracks the corner of their mask, it's like then they're gonna freaking let that gas in, they're gonna start convulsing and die. So especially if it's that noxious as taking out these undead things. So I mean, so that you got that. And then the whole thing with him getting lit up, it's like, do these dudes on his team not have any like decision making capacity to look at it and be like, oh hey, that's one of our guys pushing a vehicle from behind and he looks to be uninfected, let's hold off on burning him alive and maybe, I don't know, take 5 seconds to analyze this, because I don't think I would feel too good if I found out that I lit up one of my own dudes and set him on fire and burned him alive when he probably didn't need to go that way.
Yeah, I think you hit it all. So backing up on the flamethrower, I had to look this up because I knew this conversation was coming. And the Army does have a flamethrower in inventory still. It looks nothing like that one anymore. It's more like a giant hose, and I don't know how they connect it, but it's basically a hose with a nozzle that comes out. And
truck mounted, right?
It might be. It's either truck mounted or some type of tank mounted. Like you're not carrying it. And the intention is for like clearing out like range control areas, so that you can go out there and clean up a bunch of brush very, very quickly. So yeah, I'll go with your excuse. You know, maybe they knew about this and they pulled some old ones out from someplace or they contracted out. But yeah, if you have a gas that's that dangerous, you're not just covering up your vents and covering your face. Like we're talking some type of nerve agent if it's that heavy, which you'd have to be in a tank and I mean an actual tank at that point that's NBC rated with an NBC system in it to survive. Your vehicle's not saving you.
No.
Your little gator around your face isn't saving you. Blocking your face isn't going to save you. And then it's not just your mouth and nose that you have to worry about if it's that level
It's
of
your
gas.
eyes, it's your skin.
Everything becomes a vector then for that agent to come in. So that is very unusual. And this is the nerd in me coming out. So NBC gear all set out. They're wearing the wrong mask, and that drives me nuts.
Which one? Okay, I was trying to look and see which mask they were wearing. Which one were they wearing? Because it's like
they're wearing the M17A ones, which were like the man. I think they stopped them in the 80s or maybe the 90s.
I was gonna say those were like the Gulf War level ones, right?
Yeah. So the ones that you and I were introduced to, the M40, which is like the standard one for I think all U.S. Armed Forces.
Well, now it is, right?
Yeah.
Like where it has like the bigger face shield and stuff. Now I will vouch for this. When I first got in basic training in 2005, and then after that in active duty, I didn't receive this new one until 2013, I think, when I was in Korea because of the threat of gas attack from North Korea. But before that, we were actually using those crappy old ones with like the singular eyelets and the canister and stuff. Those were the ones where they told you is like you had to shave because they couldn't perform a seal, whereas now I think the new ones, it's like you can still have a little bit of facial hair and they still perform a seal on your face. Yes. Okay, so those were the ones that I first got in the Army.
Okay. Yeah. So these are the ones that you and I went through with. So these are the ones they should have been wearing.
Yes.
In the scene. I want to drop this down real quick and show the ones that they used.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's like some Vietnam era bullshit.
Yeah. So the nerd in me, I recognized it. I saw it. I was like, that's the wrong mask.
Yeah.
Like, does it matter for like, your normal watcher, like my wife, would she have cared? No, but I instantly was like, you're not using that mask. And
at least they didn't do something dumb like throw like a World War I era like mask on them like some movies do.
Yeah, with the nozzle that comes
with
all the way
the nozzle that goes all the way out and stuff.
Yeah, but those are the cool ones. That's the one.
Those are so cool looking. It's like they look badass, especially in like a horror scenario and stuff like that. But for practical sake, yeah.
So there's a couple other things I wanted to try and get, and again, I'm using free source stuff that's like out there so that I didn't get in trouble. One of them was like the way they bomb the city prior to the gas attack, and like they have F4 Phantoms. Well, I'm not going to say the jet because I might be wrong. My memory might be wrong, but they have jets come down. They drop napalm between the city, and
I remember it's like they were just hitting. Like in the streets, right? Like it was just like they were just like strafing the streets and like filling the streets with like napalm and stuff.
Which it's a method. I mean, if you're trying to go scorched earth, we have munitions, even at the time period, we have munitions that could obliterate whole city blocks. So it's like,
why do that, right? Like it's like if you really are trying to just be like, okay, well at this point we're trying to kill everything that moves and stuff like that. It's like you're okay. Why try to avoid the infrastructure damage? And it's not like napalm doesn't avoid it. It's like napalm's going to set the whole building on fire. So it's like the building's just going to burn down anyway. So why not just drop some JDAMs and like a freaking Moab or something like that and just turn everything into rubble and then just go from there?
Yeah, they could have completely just leveled the city with different ordnance. So I felt like that was just a
visually.
Yeah, it was just, hey, this looks really cool. Let's do this scene. Other scene that I really wanted to get, and it was what you and I talked to at the beginning, was there's a scene where it shows him using both of his optics. And remember, he has his night vision and a red dot in front of each other. But when he looks at it, it becomes a completely different optic. It's like
it's a completely different scope.
And then even worse, like remember, he's supposed to be a sniper, so all of his stuff should be zeroed in very, very fine. But he'll take shots, and the round, his dot will be like dead center on the guy, and it'll hit him like all the way over here in the shoulder, or
Yeah,
he'll
it's like
aim up high and it'll hit him in the head. And we're
like that was a very, very improper trigger squeeze there, Sarge.
I'm like, man, there's no consistency. Like that, or your optic is so off wobble that you're just winging it out there, which again does not make sense.
No.
What's going on? The helicopter scene, I wanted to get that. I don't know enough about
that's pretty crazy. I wondered about that the first time I saw it. I was like, would that have been something that you could do with the blade of a copter, is chop all of those bodies up but not sustain structural damage to the propeller that would like the prop would give out, and then you would end up like crashing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I feel like we would have to talk to somebody who had some sort of and it's not like, okay, I could say this like maybe with a Blackhawk or a Chinook blade, probably definitely, because those are some big powerful birds. But this dude's flying like a AH little bird. So I don't know if that one's gonna have like as much ass behind it to be able to like chop up those bodies and not start like breaking the prop.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to talk to a pilot and just be like, given the situation, you're trying to save your buddy. Would that be even something that you would attempt to do? Because most of the pilots I know, even like the guys that were shit hot and knew their stuff, there were certain situations they didn't put their bird into because there's too much of a chance of something. Because if he would just hit like a rock that was older underground, his whole bird is going down. And
I mean, that's the other thing too, right? Is just like, I mean, I know it's kind of an open field, so you're kind of like, okay, cool, but yeah, like what if there's like a rock in that tall grass or something like that, and it's like, and then your prop strikes it, and now it's like you're going down.
Yeah. And for anybody listening, like, we're not questioning it killing someone, because people get killed by helicopter blades.
Oh yeah. It's like if it were like one or two people, it's like you could do that probably without any kind of like thought. But it's like, but the fact that it was like a group of like 50, I was like, that's a lot of meat to chop up and still have that prop. Like I was even thinking like, it's like if you started hitting so many bodies that it could start maybe even like causing the motor malfunction, because it might be slowing down from hitting so many objects that it's like it's not like able to spin at the right speed to keep the bird in the air. I mean, helicopters are harsh. Like they can take some harsh things, but they're also pretty finicky things that we still haven't really fully perfected yet.
Yeah. Another scene, and this is I give them leeway on this because they don't really give us a lot of information, but he's using an old PVS 14, I think. I get my 14 and 17s mixed up, but the singular monocle, and it's on his rifle. And there's that scene where they go into the subway station and they're crossing through and it's all dark,
and then he kills the medical doctor, but you're seeing it happen through the thing. So I was like, does this mean that he's taken the rifle and he's stabbing her with the barrel of the rifle? Because it was supposed to, I think, look like he was butt stroking her, but if that was the case, then the thing would only be seeing it through the roof.
And my issue was, though, because we were a unit that had older equipment like that, if you were in a full no light situation, those optics didn't, or the night vision didn't work very well. You needed some sort of ambient light, so going into like a full black tunnel didn't work. Now the newer optic, like the newer night visions, they work in full pitch black. Like you can go into tunnels and buildings and they work. But our old ones, if you didn't have ambient light, it you could kind of make your way out, but it was not as bright green. Like they were looking at a digital screen that was green.
Yeah.
And very well, you could see what was happening. I could not do that with mine.
No, I mean, like, maybe you could assume a little bit, since it's like a train station, that maybe there's a little light coming in from outside. Maybe I'm giving them that leeway, but also I remember being like it's like, do you remember like you always had to like train yourself to walk under nods, because if you hadn't done it in a while, then you're just like a complete retard. So it's like, and then you had some of those dudes that you swear to God, it's like they never actually trained themselves to walk under nods, no matter how many times they did it. Like, I remember we had like one night where we were doing like a recce mission, like in Fort Bragg, and it was like black. The only illume out was like basically the fireflies, and we were it was a little bit of a struggle, but we had done these missions so many times that it was like we were, and especially like moving slow makes it a little easier to not fall down. And somehow we had this guy on our team, and this idiot was like every 5 steps he fell on his face. And I mean, it was like,
Yeah.
it just, and yeah, so it was like the idea of this, and I mean, like you said, it was like looking in there, it was like there's no moon out, and it was like, and especially with like the cover from the trees and stuff, it's like you couldn't see shit. Like it was nothing.
I'm happy you mentioned that, because one of the big things that, you're brief, and again, modern night visions, like the really expensive stuff, the $40,000 stuff, they don't have these problems anymore. But that old stuff, most like your regular soldiers, they're still rocking that type of optic. And
They're still doing it, dude. Like, yeah, like they don't give like national, I mean, even like active duty, they're not giving them white phos now and stuff. They're still using that same crap.
Yeah,
it's like 20 something years later, and they're still using that same shit.
Yeah, our radios were they were ready to fight the Soviets. That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, I will say they gave us some nice radios when I deployed. That was one of the few things that they really upgraded us on. But yeah, we were still using that same crappy like monocle PVS 14. Yeah, it just it's the same shit. Like, so it's like, yeah, the idea that it was going to be lit up in like a dark train tunnel, no, not a bit.
Yeah, the Illum is something that's very important. Not to tout my own horn about Alone Together. One of my early readers pointed that out, because I have a scene where they go through a parking garage, and that's not as bad as like a train tunnel. But I mentioned that, like, yeah, it's just like the guys are struggling moving in night vision because it's nighttime and they're on a parking garage. He's like, but they have night vision. I'm like, bro, night vision does not work the Hollywood. Like, in fact, a big reason why a lot of early rifles had that IR light on it was so you could use it as a flashlight.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the PVS ones, they have, and I feel like this would be the time where, like, okay, so the whole reason that you didn't use that that IR light on the PVS 14 was you didn't want the enemy to see you and stuff under IR. But in that situation, it's like, fuck, man, switch that thing on. Like, the only thing is that you end up blinding the guy next to you, because it's like a flashlight now. So if you turn and look at him and he looks at you, now he's got your stupid IR Illum right in his face.
But that's a perfect situation, because she's the only one who had it. So.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, I'll leave it up at just saying that she was the med officer and she didn't know any better.
Sorry for the medical people and stuff, but your med officers are retarded.
They have their place, and look.
I mean, I want them there if I get shot, but I don't want them like out there in the field telling me what to do and stuff.
Yeah, I'm always going to be that guy, because look, you and I are veterans. When it comes to MOSs, your job in the military, we get to talk crap to each other because that's what we do. Yeah. But in reality, like, I don't look down on anybody for doing any type of job, because like the water dogs in the Marine Corps, you exist for a reason to do something that purifies water in hostile environments. So proud of you guys doing that. But we're going to talk crap on you in an interpersonal basis. But we're not going to say that somebody's job is crap.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and you're probably going to hate me even for saying this and stuff like that, but man, it's like infantry officers are retarded enough to have out there on infantry ops. We don't need a freaking like a pogue out there and stuff, like being like, hey, we should do this. It's like, you should shut up. And let's do this. Let's operate the way we said.
Look, the biggest thing that people also need to understand about officers is your officer exists to get soldiers to a trained point.
Yeah.
And then once they're trained, he's making sure that the missions that he delegates out are executed properly. Officers, and for some reason, Hollywood makes them like these super commandos in movies. I don't know why, but officers aren't using their rifles very often. Like,
it's a failure if they do, or it's like it's a rare case. What I always said is I was like, being a sergeant, like a squad leader and below, is essentially kind of like the Call of Duty type of shit that you would think of. Being an officer at the platoon level is more like playing, how could you say it? Almost like a squad-based type of video game or something like that, where it's like your job is not to be on the ground telling the NCOs what to do. Your job is to sort of be just being a couple lines back so that you can direct traffic in your lane. So if that's being a PL and stuff like that, it might just be that your platoon has these 3 buildings to take or something like that. And then second platoon's got those buildings to take. your job now is these buildings. It's not your job to go into every room and make sure that they end up getting cleared. Those are the NCO's job. Your job is just to make sure that they're doing it in a way, and let your platoon sergeant do this. Your platoon sergeant's like your best buddy. He can be directing the NCOs to where they are. Your job is just to make sure that it's like at the end of the day, the objective is completed and that you can now tell your commander, hey, we've got these buildings secured and we've got our sectors of fire set up and stuff like that, just the way it's supposed to be. But the guys on the NCOs are the ones that are supposed to run the game on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're getting up to the hour here. So let's just end it right here and say, realistic level, what would you give out of a scale of 5 for 20?
Oh boy, I'm gonna go with maybe like a 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 2, and that's being generous on it.
Yeah.
Chris,
it's fun. It's cool, but
yeah, it's a good movie. Look, I liked the first 2 movies. The third one was kind of iffy for me, but I'll leave it at that. But Chris, why don't you go ahead, tell everybody again who you are, where we can find your works, and then we will call it a night.
Author Christopher Michael. I write the Danforth Eldritch Tales of World War II series, veteran federal agent, and you can find my stuff over at Amazon. And you can find me on X at Chris_M_author. And that's it.
Yep, and just like last time, I'll have all his links down below. He's also a Dark Veil Society author, so go out there, check out all the wonderful people there. And guys, thank you so much for sitting through, listening to some old veterans rant about movies and how inaccurate they are. But until next time, stay frosty.